Had a few technical issues, but I think we're up and running now. So I'm hoping you can hear me and see me. Um, I'm going to be talking to you today about the We Are All Smear Ready cervical screening social media campaign. It's one that I started. Michelle has invited me to come on here this morning and to share the campaign story with you. I'm very excited about this because Cervical Screening Awareness Week is happening next week. And yeah, I want to tell you all about what happened last year, the reason I started the campaign in the first place, and what happened, the impact that the campaign has had, and how you and your business can get involved next week. So yeah, thank you for bearing with me with the technical hitches on starting this live. My camera was playing up slightly, but I'm with you now. So thank you for being here and sharing your time with me. I'm just waiting for the all clear for Michelle that we're live on all the platforms for me to start the story. But meanwhile, I'll just sort of tell you a bit about myself and a bit of background information about the campaign. So yeah, I'm Helen Baker. I run Helen Baker Marketing and Design, and I help businesses get clear on their marketing and focused on their website so they can attract the right people and grow their businesses. And I've basically done the same thing that I do with clients and their businesses and applied it to a cause that I'm really passionate about. So this campaign is a passion project that I set up, something I work on in my free time in between client projects, and it's something I'm really passionate about. So yeah, I'm going to be sharing all of the story behind the campaign, and it's particularly relevant to the BWI platform, as that was where the campaign was launched last year on International Women's Day with the support of Michelle and the BWI family. So yeah, this is the perfect place for me to come on and tell you more about it and how you can get involved and just how the campaign's grown, because when I started out doing this, I never knew where it would go to. So yeah, it's very exciting to share it with you. So great, I've got the all clear, the green light from Michelle that we're live across all platforms. So thank you for being here, everyone. And yeah, I'm going to tell you all about the We Are All Smear Ready campaign story. So 2 years ago, I heard in the media that attendance rates for cervical screening were at an all-time low. And that's over 20 years, and the attendance rates were declining still. At the same time, I very sadly lost a dear family friend to cervical cancer, and I decided to do something about it. This sparked a curiosity of why women were skipping their appointments. And the sort of social anthropologist in me is always asking why and getting curious. So I decided to look at the national findings and the research that was out there. And I'm going to share some of that with you via my pants. Don't worry, these aren't my actual pants. These are pants here that have some statistics on there that help explain the story of the national context of cervical screening. So here's a very sad statistic that 2 women die every day from cervical cancer. As I've mentioned, cervical screening rates, attendance rates are at their lowest in over 20 years. Cervical screening provides the best protection against cervical cancer, as it can prevent up to 75% of cervical cancers from developing. So that's why cervical screening is so important. But 1 in 3 women aged 25 to 29 are skipping their cervical screening appointments. And 2 of the main barriers for people skipping appointments are embarrassment and body image. And they are the focus of my campaign, to address these barriers, as I think there's very much a focus on the external body image for women, but actually we want to sort of reinforce the importance of our sort of internal body health and make sure, even though we can't see what's inside us, that we have these conversations and these dialogues to get people aware that of how important cervical screening or smear tests are. And one other statistic here is that 33% of women asked in this particular survey, and this is one carried out by Joe's Cervical Cancer Trust, the UK cervical cancer charity, they identified that 33% of women wouldn't attend if they hadn't shaved or waxed their bikini area. And arguably, you could say that having a wax or some sort of maintenance, shall we say, in that area could probably take longer and be more painful than a cervical screening in itself. So armed with that knowledge of what the national findings were, and I actually undertook some of my own interviews with women in that particular age group. Very clear to see that it was body image and embarrassment that were the key barriers that people were giving for not attending their appointments. And I was just wondering, as I do with lots of the work that I do, I have this sort of mantra that I have displayed here, what if? And I just thought, what if there was some sort of campaign that really helped women to understand, and this sort of empathy approach that I'm very passionate about and I use within my work with clients, if we use an empathetic approach to how these women are actually feeling, when they receive their attendance, their appointment letter, how they're feeling when they're at their appointment and what's happening and how they're feeling afterwards. Because a lot of the information that's already out there at the moment is in a very sort of medicalized way. And I understand in a way that has to be the case to a certain extent because of the, it's a medical intervention, the cervical screenings. But I felt that if we're addressing how women are feeling, and particularly these issues of body image and embarrassment, then it's really, it can help get through to women, get a message across to women. So I started with my sort of marketing and design hat on. I started creating some content that I thought would be really easy to share, relatable, infographics, top tips, all sorts of really easy and relatable language and images that people would relate to. And it was partly inspired by walking past a beauty salon that had a mannequin in the window, and there was a sign around its neck saying, "How's your lady garden?" And obviously they were inviting people to come in and wanting them to have a bikini wax done. But I sort of used that language and I thought that's a sort of an accessible way to talk about a difficult subject or a sensitive subject through using sort of light-hearted, accessible humour and language as an approachable way in to talk about these things. So I sort of decided had a play around with what the campaign could be called, and I really sort of came up with this sort of phrase of, you don't have to be beach ready to be smear ready. We are all smear ready. And I really wanted that sort of supportive sisterhood approach. This isn't, I'm not medical. I'm not a nurse or a doctor telling people to come. I am actually a big sister, and I do want to support the women and the females in my life who I think we need to be talking more about these sorts of issues. So that's why the campaign is called We Are All Smear Ready. It's a supportive sisterhood approach to talking more about these issues that can be quite difficult to talk about otherwise. So I came up with this sort of campaign, and around the same time I had a meeting with Michelle from BWI about a marketing talk that I was going to do at one of the big events. And we somehow got talking about International Women's Day that was coming up, and this was sort of early last year in 2019. And I mentioned to her that I had this sort of, I was designing and putting together this campaign, but I wasn't quite sure where I was going to launch it or what was going to happen. And she said to me, why don't you, would you like to launch it on BWI, as that's a women business owners platform. I think it would be a good fit. And so I did, and it was very exciting because all of a sudden I saw how involved people wanted to get. They wanted to share this supportive message. They wanted to be part of a movement like International Women's Day or Cervical Screening Awareness Week, where people can get a message across and use the visuals and the language and the message to help get the message out there. So yeah, I did just that. We launched on International Women's Day, and spreading the message that we are all smear ready. I noticed that people were doing it, even though I suggested ways that people could do it, they were all doing it in their own way. And as I'm talking about this and talking about sharing, the campaign, it would be lovely if people could share this post as well, just so we can get the word out, as it's an issue that affects so many women. So thank you for those that are doing that. So yes, the campaign launched on International Women's Day, and I noticed that people were sharing the message in their own way. Some people were writing it on their hands, on their whiteboards at work, on post-it notes, all different ways. And actually lots of businesses got involved by offering perhaps a free reflexology session or a free hour of childcare. And there were some beauty salons, again, sharing the campaign graphics and saying, if you have an appointment letter for your smear test, come in and have a free bikini wax. Even that sort of was, I was saying it doesn't matter what your lady garden looks like. They were offering to do that. So businesses really got involved in their own way, which was really exciting. So yeah, it was great to see that people were really passionate about this as a subject, and wanted to help share the word. And then I read a book by Sarah Corbett called How to Be a Craftivist. And this book really changed the focus of the campaign in a way, because Sarah Corbett she calls herself a burnt out activist, and she's discovered this way of using craft and activism as a way of spreading a message in a gentle and but effective way. It's all about strategy, really. This isn't just a protest with your message on a placard, shouting and getting sort of angry about the topic. This is about a very kind, it's called the gentle art of protest. So it's about having your message but getting it across to your audience in a very gentle and effective way. And I read this book and I thought, wouldn't it be great to use some sort of craftivism, using craft and activism within the campaign? And I noticed that everyone was getting the message across in their own way. So maybe we could use craft and people could get their message across however they wanted with some mini pants. So I'll show you what people did last year. So here are some examples of pants that people made. And hundreds of these were made. There were paper crafters crafting their own different ones, illustrators, chocolatiers, so many different people kind of got the idea of how to make a mini pair of pants and then did it in their own way. Here's a pair I did that it's got "We're all smear ready" kind of hand stitched in there. And I actually approached Sarah Corbett, the author of the book, and together we came up with this sort of supportive information label that goes along with the pants to kind of explain the national context and what people could do to help raise awareness. So she got involved and helped me with the wording for it. And I held a pop-up craftivism event in Bradford-on-Avon just before the Cervical Screening Awareness Week in June of last year. And I also posted it online on the campaign pages of Instagram and Facebook, where so many people just sort of really wanted to embrace the concept and help share the message in this sort of gentle and effective way. And like I said, hundreds of people got involved, businesses, individuals, even there were national sort of screening practices that were sharing statistics as well. So it really took off online in particular, with people sharing it and doing it in their own way. And that's craftivism is about using eye-catching sort of pieces of craft that people have taken time and energy and effort to think about what they're doing, and to put it somewhere that could just spark a conversation. So people were dropping their mini pants in public in places like the back of toilet doors, community notice boards, restaurants, some went on a Eurostar to Brussels, and even a pair were found in Senegal and Africa. So they kind of really did, people online, you know, they're able to share, other people found them and reshared them as well. So it really did get traction online. And one of the things that blew me away so much was the impact that the campaign had. I received countless messages from women who said to me, this campaign has made me take action, and I've now booked an appointment that was long overdue for months, sometimes even years. They've been putting it off for. So it was really touching to see how much the campaign had impacted others. And then sort of here we are in 2020, and the Cervical Screening Awareness Week campaign is happening next week. And from the success of last year, I wanted to carry it on, but you know, due to the pandemic and the sort of social distancing restrictions that we have in place, I didn't want people to sort of come together and make pants, or asking people to go out and drop them in public. So what I decided to do this year is for people to create mini pairs of pants at home, and then to post them on their social media feeds rather than post them in public. And the kind of theme this year is rainbow themed pants, and it's not only to raise awareness of the importance of smear testing, but to also champion the amazing work of NHS nurses who don't care what your lady garden looks like. These screening nurses can still do their jobs, and they've seen all varieties, so they really don't care how you look down below. We're all ready to go however we look. So I'm encouraging people to create these little mini pairs. I'm just showing you some here. These are made from fabric. These are made from, I raided my recycling bin, and these are all different sort of rainbow packages that I found. Some I've added little bows to. I've also made a printable downloadable pair here, and you can kind of do some mindful colouring or just cut them out and decorate them how you want, with some instructions if you want them, and a label here as well. And I will put the link to that in the comments of this live post. And if anyone wanted to do these, I've recommended that you can draw around the bottom of a baked bean tin on a piece of card, and cut out half of that circle, and then you can sort of cut around leg holes from the sides of the tin as well. So it's kind of an easy way, if you're into craft and want to do that, that's a way you can help support the campaign next week. And I'm encouraging people, once they've made their mini pairs of pants, to post them on their social media with the message that you don't have to be beach ready to be smear ready, or we're all smear ready, or any of the statistics that I've shared with you. I'm going to be putting together a whole collection of the campaign graphics and the message posts out there. So if you wanted to create a mini pair of pants and post any of the campaign graphics next week on your social media, whether that's your personal one and or your business one, you are very welcome to do so. I've also created for the logo ladies of the BWI profile image. Each of those ladies are going to be wearing a rainbow pair of pants, and you are very welcome to share that next week as well. So later today I'll be uploading all those images and all those campaign graphics, and you are welcome to share away. This is about, you know, really getting the information out there and raising awareness of smear testing, cervical screening, because it really helps to give the message that these are important. And although they're not the nicest thing to talk about, they're not the most comfortable experience to have by any means, but they're so important and they could save lives. So that's why I'm passionate about it. That's why I've come on here this morning to tell you all about it. And hopefully it might have inspired you and perhaps your business to think, oh, I'd like to get involved with Cervical Screening Awareness Week by sharing any of the mini pants if you want to, or the campaign graphics, the BWI logo that's going to have the wording that they're supporting Cervical Screening Awareness Week as well. So thank you very much for being here, for listening to the campaign story, for being part of the campaign story as well, because I do feel that without the support of Michelle and BWI, I'm not sure it would have had the exposure and success that it's had already. And I just wanted to say that if anyone has any way, any links, any sort of PR or contacts in the sort of media world that you think this campaign would be a good fit for, I've got a press release that Natalie Hillman has very kindly put together. So thank you, Natalie, for being my campaign sidekick with that. That's all good to go. I've got lots of images and campaign infographics and graphics to share. So anyway you think this would be a good fit next week, you're welcome to get in touch with me. I'm helen@helenbaker.com is my email address, and there's also campaign pages. We Are All Smear Ready on Facebook and Instagram too. So yeah, thank you once again for being here this morning, for listening to the campaign story, for being part of the campaign story. Stay safe, everyone.